March 23rd, 8:15 p.m. This is Hannibal from the HannibalTV.com with a daily wrestling news update. A settlement for a confidential amount has been reached between Hulk Hogan and Mike Calta, aka Cowhead, and Matt Boyd, who were apparently the ones that leaked that Hulk Hogan sex tape where he was very bizarrely having sex with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife while Bubba was in the house. And I believe this is where he made some of his racist comments that led to a lot of issues for Hulk Hogan. Now, it's interesting because I put out a video of wrestlers talking about Hulk Hogan, one of my compilation videos yesterday, and Kevin Sullivan mentions in that video that he did an interview with Cowhead that same day that I interviewed him, because it was during a fan fest in Tampa. And he mentioned that Cowhead told him there that he was the one that leaked that footage, because I guess Bubba the Love Sponge, for whatever reason, had given the Hogan sex tape to these fellow radio show hosts for safekeeping, which is, the whole thing is really weird. I'm sorry to say I did watch that sex tape. I'm sorry to say that, but I know a lot of us did. Just because I didn't understand it, and it was bizarre. I don't think I saw the whole thing. I just saw clips of it, but I saw the part at the start where Bubba is like in the room with them, and then he basically leaves. A lot of weird stuff. I mean, supposedly Brutus Beefcake. Well, there was rumors, anyways, according to Hogan's ex-wife Linda, that there was some bisexual stuff going on at various points between Hogan and Beefcake. That's all hearsay, but sharing your wife with your best friend is a little weird, to me anyways. Australia has now pulled out of the Olympics. I reported on it yesterday that Canada pulled out of the Olympics. Japan is back doing wrestling events, and they did a K1 show last weekend, supposedly in an arena that holds close to 30,000. Japan is like the opposite of North America, or apparently, or at least the US, because in Japan, the smaller companies are running, but the larger companies like New Japan are not running. But in America, the bigger companies, AEW and WWE, are running, and the smaller companies aren't. They've all been banned from running. So it's a little bit different. Harry Smith is still going to Japan for this big carnival tournament for All Japan, but apparently when he gets to Japan, he's going to be quarantined for 14 days before he can start competing. So of course he's the Hannibal TV champion. He was supposed to defend that title on a Great North Wrestling event in a couple months, but that event's been at least postponed for a while, because I don't see anything clearing up here for a while. They're putting more and more restrictions on us here. I will take freedom any day over government protection myself. I'm not a big fan of this. Apparently, the Prime Minister made a statement here today that the cops are going to be out looking out for people outside, hanging out in groups. I wish the cops around here would actually focus on crime, because crime is going to go up as people are being denied the ability to work. And also Ricky Morton, who I would really like to do an interview with soon. Hopefully when they reopen the border, I can get Ricky Morton. He unfortunately had a Bell's palsy scare on March the 17th. I do have an interview coming up with Butterbeam whenever they unblock the border. I'm just going to drive across and interview him because he's someone I've really wanted to interview. And we've already discussed it pretty much. Whenever they unblock the border, I'm just going to go see Butterbean and bang that interview off. He's going to do an extended career interview with me. But he doesn't live that far from Ricky Morton. I'd love to go down to Ricky Morton's wrestling school and interview him. Now, finally, I mentioned this yesterday about this Chris Benoit Vice documentary, which it's banned in Canada. It hasn't been uploaded yet in Canada, but somebody sent me a pirated link to it. And I think it's despicable how they painted Kevin Sullivan in that and basically glorified Benoit. I sincerely hope Kevin Sullivan sues Vice because that literally was a bunch of bullshit, that documentary. And they defamed him for sure. And I believe that he should definitely be financially compensated for that bullshit. Anthony 911 says, two degenerates, Hulk and Bubba. That's your opinion. I will not comment on that. AJRX says Hogan has a lot of enemies. Well, to be fair, anyone as famous as he is going to have a lot of enemies. I've noticed, I'm nowhere near his level, but I've noticed myself, the more popular the Hannibal TV gets, the more enemies I get. And I've had some actual very serious people threaten me within the last year, particularly due to some of my comments about the WWE's relationship with Saudi Arabia. Give us an update on my training. The Grease says, all I'm doing right now, for now, is running and hitting my punching bag. I don't have any weights in my house. And I honestly don't know if I want to buy weights. Why do I want to spend money on weights? I mean, if this is going to go on for months and months where the gyms are going to be closed, I guess I'll have no choice. But for now, I'm just going to try and get better and better cardio. I've ran 7 days in a row now, at least 2 hours a night. The running is getting easier. I'm going to continue with that. Try and get my cardio just in good shape. And then when the gyms open back up, hit the weights hard. Is it Butterbean that boxed Bart Gunn? Yes, it is. And he's boxed, I believe, Sean O'Hare too, and knocked Sean O'Hare out quite easily. How does Hogan's ex-wife get any of that settlement? It's an undisclosed settlement, so we don't know the details of it. I don't know. I really don't know. Well, I'll end it at that. Thanks a lot for all your questions and comments. I did interview Vince Russo today on Skype. It was an hour interview. It will be on Patreon as soon as it's uploaded. He was very fired up for it. I will put some clips of it on here in the coming days, but I will tell you Vince Russo is a nice guy. There's a lot of not nice people in wrestling, but I believe Vince Russo is an honest guy and a nice guy, and he's definitely a big proponent of himself, but I don't think he has an ego. There's a lot bigger egos in wrestling than him, that's for sure. So have a good night.